Now I know when I started learning golf and when I was trying to get really good at golf, I was never taught how the pros get into impact. It's actually extremely different than setup. So at setup, most pros are something like this. At impact, they're at a totally different position, much more like that. Well, I have a step-by-step drill showing you exactly how to do that, and let's jump right in. What I want you to do first is just stand straight up and down, take your right arm and put your elbow right into the side of your body. So right here into the side, like it's going to hit you just above your hip, and it's actually going to hit your body. That's that tucked elbow position that we all want in the downswing. Now from there, we're going to put our palm straight up and down, and instead of being in the side like this, actually move the palm until it's in line with your belly button. This would be essentially what's going to be forward shaft lane here in a second, or getting the hands in front of the club. Now I'm going to go ahead and grip up on it just with my right hand, and I'm going to go ahead and lower this. So if this is parallel with the ground here, I'm going to lower it about 20 degrees, just like that. Then I'm going to bend my right wrist back as far as I can, basically 45 degrees back for most players. And I want to make sure when I do that the face is vertical, straight up and down. So this would be a closed club face, meaning that the leading edge of the club here is now pointing down to the ground. This would be an open club face. Now, the reason I mention that is when most people do this, it's much more comfortable. I can sit here with an open club face all day long. My wrist is completely relaxed. When I square the face up, that starts to get near the end of my range of motion, but that's completely fine. Now from there, I'm going to rotate my body, so I'm going to shift my weight to the left. So this weight is over the left foot, and I'm going to rotate. So notice how my right foot starts to come up off the ground, my right heel starts to come off the ground, my hips are now rotating open. So the only thing moving my club forward is my body rotating. I'm not moving my arm across my body. I'm taking this position and rotating my body open until I'm here where the club would be, where the golf ball is. From there, I'm going to go ahead and bend down. So if I had my shoulders like this, if we're looking down the line, this would be right side bend. This would be left side bend this way. I'm getting in right side bend until my club actually reaches just above the golf ball. And from there, I'm going to go ahead and let my right arm come off my body slightly, and now I'm reaching the golf ball. Now this is the impact position. Most people would say, well, Clay, that's definitely not right. Look how far open your chest is. That's never going to work. Well, that's exactly right. The only difference is when I add my left arm, that's going to square up this shoulder, and I'm exactly where the pros would be there at contact. Now, the one thing that almost everybody gets wrong is this angle. That huge angle. Look at the middle of my body. My club is way over here at impact. That feels wild for people. Getting this right wrist back is dang near impossible feeling for most players to have, but that's the most important thing you can do to hit the ball well. That's what allows my hands to get in front of the golf ball. Notice how this would be a flat right wrist. This would be my right wrist angled back, and that's what allows me to really compress the heck out of that. So an 8-iron loft is somewhere around 36, 37 degrees. It depends on the set that you have. Pros are turning that down to the mid-20s. Now, the loft at impact is called the dynamic loft. If you look on the screen here, you'll see a little number for dynamic loft. If I get that right wrist angled like it's supposed to, like the pros are, I'm going to be really consistent, and you're going to see that number somewhere near the mid-20s. There we go. Decent shot there. 28 dynamic loft. I may even want to crank it back a little bit more than that. And the more that I lean this shaft forward, the more loft it takes off the face, and now that's hitting it with a flatter face, it's going to have higher ball speed, it's going to go farther. That's why the pros can hit it so daggone far. I got a training aid, actually makes this really easy. Let me show that to you now. All right, so here I got my Precision Impact training aid. I've just had this thing for a few weeks, I've been testing it out, and I got to tell you, I really like it. Now, I'm going to take a second here to put this on, I'll be right back. All right, so once I put this on, I tighten 2 straps so it's against my forearm. That keeps this part on my arm. And then when I bend my wrist back, you'll hear this clicking. So if I go ahead and bend it all the way back, it's bent my wrist. If I try to push my wrist this way, I can't push it. It keeps that angle there. If I want to release that angle, I just pull up on this tab and it'll go right back. But as soon as I bend it back again, it doesn't work. So if I bend this back with my hand to pretty much my full range of motion there, that's exactly what we did when we had this middle iron. I had an 8-iron here, and that's what I did with my right wrist angle that we just went over. Notice how that matches up perfectly with what I did when I bent this back the whole way. Now from there, I can just train that and I can get this forward shaft lean. And from here, what I'd like for you to do with this training aid works really well, is I bend that all the way back. I go to impact with a ton of shaft lean. So this is just a little practice drill, and I go ahead and hit a few little chip shots, and it feels a little bit weird. It's supposed to feel weird. This is really just exaggerating what you're doing. But here, I want to feel like when I'm doing this, instead of having my hand throw away or try to come off this, I want to actually feel like the back of my hand is putting pressure on this pad all the way through impact. So I almost feel like I'm clicking it more when I come through impact. And you'll see my loft, my dynamic loft. I said the pros are at mid-20s. That was 12.7 degrees there. So this is really exaggerating that, forward shaft lean that you're going to get. 21 degrees on that one. So I can just hit some little chip shots. Obviously my setup position is way off here, but that's going to exaggerate me getting the initial feel of how much I should have to hit it like the pros. Now, we'll put a link down below in this video. You don't have to have this training aid. You can do the exact same thing with the drill I did earlier. This just makes it a little easier to feel that. If you buy from that link, we get a few bucks. Helps us to keep making great content for the website. And I got to tell you, I really like this thing. I'll give it a rating at the end of this video to see how it stacks up with my other training aids, but this is pretty solid. Now the second video I'm going to do with this, or the second drill, is now I'm going to set up with my normal setup after I felt that originally. And as I come through contact, I'm going to go ahead and have this click in the downswing and then have that come through the shot like that. So you'll notice I'll be quiet here as I'm swinging, and you'll start to hear that click around here, and it keeps clicking as I make my downswing. There we go. And I probably could have done a little bit more. Same thing the dynamic loft said. That's 28. Pros are probably around that 26, 27. But that's completely fine for doing these drills. I would go ahead and exaggerate it even more and more until I could see that just a bullet, really low penetrating shot. Finally, I'd go ahead and make a full swing. And the only thing I don't like about this training aid, it's a little difficult to put on. And when you swing through, as I get that angle, if I'm swinging toward the camera, I never can release that angle. So I have to kind of do like an abbreviated type finish. And I really can't let that wrist come off. In the normal follow through, the wrist should actually be able to bend the other way and flatten out. So it's a little awkward in the finish. It's not exactly right. But this problem is so hard for golfers, I just don't think you can exaggerate it enough, to be honest with you. So I don't mind the follow through being a little bit abbreviated to get that initial feeling for it. But man, you're going to hit some low stinger bullets. This thing feels great when you first start to, de-loft it enough. And there, I felt like I even threw it a little bit. Sometimes it is a little weird. That's another thing that I'm not the happiest about with this. Sometimes it gets a little weird. You start thinking about the clicking too much. You lose track, and you may hit a bad shot. That's okay. Just slow it down, get the feeling. This is really just to get you the feeling of this. It's not necessarily to say, I need to hit 100,000 golf balls doing this. I need to get the feel a few times like the pros have it. And then from there, it'll make my practice a lot more productive. Now I'll give you an overall rating of this training aid. I'm going to put that at a very solid 7.4. I think it's a very solid training aid. A few limitations on there where it gets a little bit weird in the backswing and it kind of distracts you from hitting shots. That's going to be a limitation for some players. The follow through, not being able to do that exactly right, is a limitation. But I got to tell you, a 7, anything in the 7s is a really great solid training aid. I'd highly recommend it, especially for the players that kind of stand up and flip, tend to get this angle happening. This thing is going to help you to take your game to another level. Just make sure you do enough reps with it and you'll really start to get the hang of it. Now, there's one underlying problem with all this, and it's how you learn to square up the face. So almost everybody has learned to square up the face by rolling these forearms to square the face, and that gets us standing up out of our posture, casting the club, and that gets this right wrist flat through impact, which is the exact opposite of what the pros are doing. I'm going to play a preview of a video I'll call the anti-roll method. And I'm going to show you the way that the pros square up the face and shallow out the club, get it in the slot in the downswing so that they can get into this pro impact position. Once you understand this, you're going to understand the root cause, what caused all this stuff that we talked about here today, and it makes it so much simpler to fix it. I'll play a preview of that video in just 1 second. All you need to do, go ahead and click the card that pops up on your screen, the iCard somewhere on your screen here. If you don't see that, go down to the link below the video in the description, click that link, and you'll get instant access to that anti-roll method video. I can't wait to see you there and share with you the secret cause that underlies all this stuff. Let's go and get started. Here's the bottom line. If you've been taught to roll the club in the early downswing, that causes the shaft to get steep. And that steep club causes all your problems. It causes you to hit it way behind the big hitters and way inconsistent with your quality of strike. So you're in the tall grass and the trees and the hazards all day long. Now the great news is this. There's really only two pieces that you need to know to fix all these problems. The first one is we need to learn the proper way to square up the club face. Instead of rolling the forearms and getting steep, there's another way that the pros do this. Once you learn this right way to square up the club face, then you can shallow out from the inside and everything starts to fit together. Now I'm going to teach you this right now in what I call the anti-roll method. You may also hear this called the motorcycle move or the tour twist, but let's walk through exactly how to do that. Now what I want you to do is go ahead and go kind of in the last parallel in the downswing. So here I want my hips to go ahead and be opening up. I want my club to be parallel with the ground, and I want my hands to be in front of my right thigh. Now, when I take my grip, you're going to notice that when I do this, the club face is basically straight up and down. So if I'm looking at it from this angle, you'll see the face is straight up and down, and my logo of my glove is pointed out in front of me. Now from there,